Hey everybody, welcome to another segment of Tony's show, and it's, what is it? It is 0109-2020. I'm trying to convey some kind of a concept here that, everything that we do is always recorded. It's almost as if we were being input into a database, and that the dates and times and other things is all being done in computer code. And since computer language is 01010101, and when the turn of the year came, it was 01012020, I thought, the code has changed. Maybe this is the quantum realm, maybe this is, D wave, Q wave, whatever. Or maybe it is just that everything now is being logged in, maybe on some higher level, depending on your take on or your interpretation of things. Seems like these recordings of our lives seem to be coming as some sort of historical, maybe input or whatever, because of something climatic might be happening. And things are happening on a climatic level. Some of you have watched the Golden Globes with Ricky Gervais, and he came out and he really lambasted and ripped into Hollywood and corporations. And I thought about that. I thought, it's unusual for somebody of this, who would bite the hand that feeds them? I mean, Hollywood pays a lucrative money to some of their big celebrities. Now, mind you, they have to kiss the devil's backside in order to get this. This is just the way that works. In order to make that kind of money, you are in the realm of the demonics. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that when it comes to Hollywood. Now, if you think there's something special about Hollywood, and obviously you haven't been keeping up what's going on, you have to swear an oath to your soul in order to be in Hollywood. And anyway, he was ripping into all of them. And he made some comments. He made some comments about Apple coming up with some sort of dramatization, a real good, powerful dramatization about doing the right thing. And yet they have sweatshops in China, and he mentioned Amazon, he mentioned Disney, and he mentioned another one. And he was talking about different, themes that Hollywood's been doing that seem so controversial, so hypocritical. And I kept thinking to myself, well, this is not something that is normally said in that realm. Then I thought, well, perhaps maybe Hollywood icons and Hollywood movie stars have outlived their usefulness. I don't think like normal people. I look at things. I've been around for a while, and I've seen so many different things. I've seen so many cycles repeat themselves, and I see so many people forgetting that certain cycles have happened over and over and over, and all that's changed is the players in the game. But it's the same old. And because I don't know what it is, we all have brain damage. I always make fun of the Hebrews and that they had brain damage, that they came out of Egypt after all the signs and wonders God did in Egypt, the 3 days of darkness and the blood in the water and the fleas and the flies and the firstborn dying and so forth, and the big enchilada of them all coming through the Red Sea, and 3 million of them get through it. The Egyptian army gets wiped out. Moses goes and sees God, tells Aaron, watch over these dumb bastards. I'm going to have a one-on-one with the great one, and I want you to pay attention, keep them out of trouble because they're kind of stupid. He goes up there, has his audience with God, comes, and God says, you better go back, I'm about ready to kill these people. He goes back, and they're bowing down to a golden cow. That's brain damage. That is brain damage, And we're not much better, I got to tell you, the difference is they had 300 years of it, we've had 2,000. We've been under the Babylonian bullshit for a long time, and it's been a constant repeating of the same old, and we still haven't woke up to this bullshit. It's just unbelievable to me. that this crap has gone on this long, and now we're at the point of being back to the days of Noah. I am so impressed with this. You have no idea. I'm thinking to myself, I read the account of, in some of the earlier epics of Genesis. I've read some of the epics of Enoch, and I'm not seeing anything there that's any good. After the creation, it went to hell in a handbasket. And here we are today, seeing the political spectrum doing the same crap over and over. I mean, we've not learned nothing. I'm speaking of North America now, and Europe isn't much better either, because let's face it, Europe's heading for World War III. With the political lunacy there. Can't question the Holocaust. You can't say this. You can't say that. We're allowing immigrants to come in to be displaced from their country into Europe, and then they go into the countries of Europe and then they rape all the young women, and law enforcement is not allowed to do anything about it. What in the bloody hell is going on there? Really? Now I can just imagine, I have a daughter, if somebody had touched my daughter in a way that was going to violate her DNA, I would have the attitude of turning the other cheek, the other person's cheek. I'm still not convinced that there was, when Jesus said what he said, that he was referring to turning yours. Doesn't specify. He's not really that clear. And maybe he is, and I'm just overlooking that part. Who knows? There's that part of it too. But I would have a tendency to think that if somebody had violated my bloodline that way, I might get a little upset. And I might have a different attitude toward the legal system if the legal system did not defend my daughter's rights. And I'm not referring just to my daughter, I mean anybody's daughter. Anybody in Europe who had a daughter and had that happen, there would be an outrage. Should have been an outrage. And the political parties that were in power should have been removed from power and thrown in jail for negligence toward their own people. Now that's my thinking, my opinion on that one. But here we are. This is going on in Europe. Same old shit, same old crap. You can't say this, you can't say that. Don't say this, you don't say that. Might rock the boat. Don't say anything about the Pope, God forbid. Don't say anything about the Queen. Oh shit, that's not a good thing either. You can say whatever you want about the Prime Minister, that's okay. But the Queen, no, keep that out. The Pope, keep that out. That kind of thing. And we got the same thing going on in the West. Same thing. And now since the war in Vietnam, the same rhetoric has been used for over 60 years, just about 50 plus years, 60 years. The same nonsense. Now the wording's a little differently. Now we're using terms of defending our interests, protecting our allies, whatever it may be. And nothing's changed. We had, remember, when the war in Vietnam was going on, everyone was picketing, hell no, we won't go, hell no, we won't, all that. People were marching all over the United States, whatever. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is the world has gotten a lot more tenuous. It's become a lot more anxious. The weaponry we have today, we don't need a nuke today. Oh, no. Nukes are basically passé. Now we just have energy devices that can create earthquakes out of nowhere. Fire frequencies across the sky, and maybe even fly airplanes with an AI operating system. An autonomous network operating an airplane. Weaponry of all kinds can now be done through frequencies. Can you imagine that? I mean, in the West here, we're already feeling the effects of the weaponry being assaulted on the general population with nanoparticles being activated to take out people's lives by violating their or corrupting their DNA. They're also having frequencies activating people through their phones, which again accesses their DNA through just by touch, which can now alter the way they think. This is just totally incredible. And the big kicker about it all, of it all, is when you look at the Bible and you read Luke, and where Jesus said in Luke that up until the day that Noah got in the ark and God shut the door, people were status quo. Nothing, every day going to work, coming home, whatever, doing the normal everyday things. They never even looked at what was right in front of them. Why would a guy build a huge craft in the middle of a desert that's designed to float on water? I mean, really, what is up with that? Did anybody even remotely think of this? No. Same when he mentioned about Sodom and Gomorrah. Right up until the day he took Sodom and Gomorrah and wiped it off the face of the earth, people were doing the same old status quo. Because nobody was paying attention. Nobody looked at, things are a little bit here. But everybody got comfortable with the status quo, and as a result, nobody got ready when the shit hit the fan. Nobody. Now, what I'm finding interesting more and more, and I'm getting more and more emails, which is encouraging to see finally that the concept of what we've been talking about, Brian 396 and myself have talked about in the past, about nano poisoning, nano biometrics, nanotechnology, nano, just anything nano, is coming out more and more. People are now tying chemtrails to nano poisoning. People are now tying health issues to nano poisoning. People are now tying programming in people's DNA to nano poisoning. Wow, it's only taken 12, 13 years, but finally it's happening. And I'm glad it is. Some of you are going to freak out. That's okay. You need to be freaked out. If that's what's going to take to get you off your asses, off in front of the television, to get you to start at least investigating what's going on, then I've done my job in order to help you save yourself from the things that are coming down the pipe. Now, if you're still sitting there watching television and getting hypnotized and mesmerized by the programming and holding your cell phone and, texting and doing whatever and letting that phone continue to take over your mind, then maybe you're too far gone. I don't know. I don't like making those kind of judgments because that usually has a tendency to be having a finale effect. And I'm not really that one type to just give up that easy either. But there are days I do let everybody go that wants to be let go. If you flat out refuse to pay attention and to hear what's going on, and to at the least, you owe it to yourselves to look at the research and the data, what's going on, and observe things that are happening on every front, including the media. And I'm not referring to the news even. I'm not even referring to some of the entertainment aspect of the media. Then perhaps, and you can see, okay, the guy is a comedian. We'll go back to, Ricky Gervais there, and I guess he's a comic. And anyway, and he's ripping into Hollywood. I mean, tearing it into shreds. It's really leading me to indicate that that Hollywood, the actors of Hollywood, have outlived their usefulness. That Hollywood now is no longer wanting to entertain these actors with awards and trophies and special events. In fact, I think as time goes on, we're probably going to see more CGI material or special effects material or even movies made by artificial intelligence to take you out. Because AI now can read emotions. Now imagine that. Artificial intelligence can now read and interpret emotions. Wow. Look at the implication there. Comedian rips Hollywood actors all to shreds. Calls them on their hypocrisies. Calls them on their stupidity. I mean, the last thing he said, which was I found amazingly and refreshingly shocking, he told them, after he criticized Apple for building a sweatshop in China, after putting out a little movie saying, we're going to do the right things with dignity and blah, blah, blah. This is how they do it. This is how it's always been done. I mean, Hollywood is not the only one that violates this. We have seen this even in the industry, in the automotive sector, for instance. They've been polluting the shit out of the planet. And then something like GM or Ford will buy some place where they have a reserve, where they've got trees and things and water, and this is their contribution of giving back to the general population a small token of I guess replace some of the damage that they've done over the decades. River Rouge in Detroit has never been cleaned up. Still stinks like shit. It's polluted all to hell, and it's dead. Troy River is another one, dead. Who did this? But they have done they've done their duty by presenting a veneer, an outward appearance of, oh yes, we are green. We are so green. Look what we've done. And Hollywood now is doing the same thing. Apple doing this little skit of a movie, but now having a sweatshop in China. Having young people working their asses off for next to nothing, and if they don't work, they get eliminated. Supporting a regime that is under a social network program that if you don't act like a machine or a robot, have no freedom of thought or choice, they can now, under a social credit, take away your access to your funds. That's coming to Canada and America. You better wake up on this. This technology is already in place. The 5G is already there. They're talking about working on 5G. They're more than likely working on 6G. And you better start paying attention to 6G, because that's the killer. That's the one that will take you apart on the mitochondrial level. That's the one that will take you apart using your own hydrogen that your body produces inside your fluids to further destroy your ATP levels, your DNA, and your genetic code. This is the one that you really got to pay attention to. 5G is dangerous. 6G makes 5G look like a little pissant. And it's really time we need to start getting ahead instead of playing catch up. Okay, we need to start looking at these things that is already in the works and that nobody's talking about. When we're talking about artificial intelligence, this is the most dangerous tech on the planet, bar none. If it decides to launch all the access codes to all the missiles in the world today, coming from China, India, Russia, Germany, France, United Kingdom, Spain, Portugal, Italy, United States, Canada, there's no way to stop it. No way. Because we do not have the control. We're not in control. So when we're looking at stuff and that, and the nukes are a firecracker in comparison to the technology that's here today with satellite transmissions, frequencies, HARP, EMFs, and so forth and so on, radio frequencies that they can now use to, again, alter weather, alter climate change, alter even the way you are, affecting the way you think, affecting your DNA and your genetic code. And this is and the weapon is all around you. It's where you live. You see a tower in your neighborhood, you see a tower in your town, and all it takes is one. All it takes is one. You don't need 50 of them. One. One has a range, when it's fully cranked up, to go 300 miles or 500 kilometers. I'll speak both metric and standard. So there's no questioning. Oh, what's 300 miles? What's 500 kilometers? 500 kilometers equals to about 300 miles circumference. In other words, if you were to draw a circle from where you are and went 300 miles in any direction in a 360-degree pattern, That's how far that the range of those frequencies can go out and kill. A nuclear bomb only has approximately 125 miles circumference, or 125 mile range, or a 200 kilometer area. Drop a bomb in London, Ontario, you can wipe out Toronto and Detroit because they're right within the 125 mile range. If you turn on a tower in London, Ontario, you can double the distance from Toronto. You can go another 175 miles north of Toronto in a circle, another 175 miles south of Detroit in a circle. Imagine that. That's what we got today, and that's what we're dealing with today. So when we're looking at Hollywood tearing up their performers, calling him out. He made a statement I thought was, like I said, shockingly refreshing. He told them that none of them, if they win the award, none of them had, not to make a political statement on there, because none of them had any clue about life and what life was really all about, and had no business telling anybody anything because they were no position to tell anything to anybody, which is true. Hollywood actors are Hollywood actors. These are people that pretend and lie. They're good at lying. So a lot of times when they come on TV and put out some sort of presentation or some BS, we're believing that they have some sort of authoritative knowledge about something. These people are derelicts. They just know how to turn on and turn off what they need to convince you, to make you believe, because that's what that's their whole game, is to make you believe what they're saying or what they're doing or what they're performing. See a love scene and you got two people, in a situation where they're all madly in love and they're gaga, but yet in the real world these two can't stand each other. But they have convinced you on some romantic interlude that might exist in your mind now, because they've sold that to you. Or you got two people that are just literally beating the hell out of each other in the movie, blah, 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 yet they're the best of friends. But they got you convinced that they really don't like each other. That's what they are, pretenders. Okay, weavers and deceivers. That's what they get paid to do. So when you hear these people coming out there and make some broad claim about being green, or eating tofu, or being, eating these non-meat products. I was talking to somebody today about that very thing, that there was some medical doctor out in Europe or somewhere in Canada, and he'd gone to the United States to look at some of these non-meat products. He said this stuff was substandard of dog food. This is what they're trying to get people to eat. Shit, literally. And you know who will eat this stuff? Millennials. Oh, we're going to be green. Oh, green. Oh. These are the dumbest of the dumb. The education, this is an indicator of the educational system failing to educate and teaching these people how to think, but the educational system's success at programming these people to follow a program. Imagine that. Imagine that. Oh, they got this placated all over the earth and the earth. This is what Hollywood's all about. It's the bullshit in Hollywood of showing you the planet and the green and protecting this little blue marble in space and the green trees and the green grasses. Oh, everything's so green. If a cow doesn't shit it in the field and restore the earth, you don't get no green. If animals are, aren't not regulated, but if they're not balanced, hunting, raising them as livestock, whatever, the green would disappear. When we're talking glyphosates, because now, glyphosates. I've been saying for a long time not to use honey, because honey has nano in it. And some people say, well, I don't care, I'm going to eat it anyway. It's okay, well, it's up to you. You know, it's your call. I'm not going to bend your arm or twist your arm. Oh, no, you shouldn't eat. No, you do whatever you want. I mean, I'll tell you the truth and I'll tell you what's going on. Well, they're finding glyphosates in honey, and it's quite high. Glyphosates have a tendency to neutralize the reproductive system and cause cancers. Now, glyphosates are also a part of nanobiology or nanotechnology. And that's also in the honey, which is a carbon, which allows the nano to be activated and to feed on that carbon to assemble. Can you imagine that? Ho, ho, ho. Now, you are going to hear in the health food industry and the gurus in this health food industry parlay to you the bullshit of the century about how healthy the organics are, including honey. I had one guy contact me today when I was explaining to him about the nano and how it penetrates right to the very core of the DNA, and there's no way you can pull that out. You can't wash it. You can take a buzzsaw and you're not going to get that out. Now you can juice the plants and filter them with the oil filtration system. This you can do to reduce the buildup of the nano that you're using, but you can't eat those fibers like you used to because they are heavily saturated with a programmable material that's embedded in the DNA in a carbon-based food, which the nano uses exponentially in its assemblage. So, when we're looking at the here and now, not 1970, 1950, 1960, 1940, 1920, 1930, I'm all over the place, I know. We are in the year 2020. In the year of 2020, the earth has been basically raped for over a century. And the earth has been corrupted with genetically engineered material for at least 50 to 60, maybe 70 years, if you count the 1950s when they started putting different things in the soil. We are no longer living in that reality where the food supply today has the same value it did from when I ate it as a child, and for those of you who are older than I am, ate as a child. We are not eating those foods. What we're eating today is a cluster screw. That's how I'll put it. And I have issued the challenge many a time. Go get an ocular, 60X. Go to any grocery store you like, any one you choose. Take a walk on the wild side. Take a look. You'll find, just by looking through that ocular, we are no longer in 1950 or 1960. And that cannot be washed off. You can go get yourself a Brillo pad. Scrub away. Not going to come out. The glyphosates they're finding is now in the rain and the air. Remember how they told the farmers, well, just plant a row of trees between the acres. It'll stop the pollination process. What a load of bunk. Some of you are saying, this is not sounding too good. Where's the positive in this? The positive in this is the fact that you can now see this is actually going on, because now that you can see it, again, you can now get off the ass, turn off the television, and start coming up with solutions. Like a vertical garden indoors. Gardens you grow in pots. You might want to put them in an enclosure somewhere so that you can keep to minimize exposure to nanoparticles, which are also in your house. It's inescapable unless you've got a filtration system and a filtering system to keep that out of a greenhouse. So you are still going to get some. but it's not going to be the same or an overloaded contamination that you would get if the plants were fully exposed, full on outdoors. We're going to have to be innovative and understand the nature of the assault so that you can learn to neutralize what's going on. See, like I said, the Hollywood stars, I believe, are obsolete, and I believe when they gave this guy the job to do the job that he did, he basically, I mean, the tone. Get up here, don't make a political statement. Thank your God and your agent, and then he told him to F-O. In other words, don't get caught up telling people what to do since you're not in the position to tell them anything. And we're now not in a position, and you got to have the same attitude toward the gurus and the goofballs and the gumbies in this industry that are going to tell you about how wonderful apple cider vinegar is, or honey, or unpasteurized honey is, or your vegetables and blah blah blah. These people are just recanting and reciting the same old bullshit that's been said for the last 40 and 50 years, because nobody wants to rock the boat, and they got everybody believing in this greening of whatever. There ain't no green. It's all nano, smart dust, smart particles, smart sensors, nano silver, nano silica. That's what it is in the food supply today. But they'll have you believing, oh, we got this special honey from the other side of the planet that's going to cure blah, blah, blah. I got news for you. New Zealand and Australia are not that pristine either. They are, New Zealand is using Vertipocum 1080. This is one of the most toxic chemicals on the planet that New Zealand is using on the island. They are growing GMO foods there. They do use GMO stuff over there. It's not what you think. One guy said he was looking at some whey protein that he was getting from there, so when he asked him about the genetics, GMOs, if they were feeding them any GMOs, he said no, he says because they were organic, so they never tested for glyphosate, which is airborne. Airborne! So much for the orgasmically organic. Ooh. I'm feeling orgasmic. Organically orgasmic. I'm so organically organic. And some of you might say, now what the hell do we eat? You got to eat what you need, which is to keep your body strong. And you got to eat what you need to eat in order to maintain your genetic code and your genetic profile and your DNA and your mitochondria and your ATP production and your chromosomes. These are important. That's what you have to start focusing on. You may have to use more supplements geared specifically toward this part of your body. You may have to start using things to help bind with some of this nano and remove it out of the body. You may have to do an STS, sodium thiosulfate detoxification, to pull this out of your system. Again, the normal cleanses today aren't going to do jack diddly when it comes to cleaning the colon, because the colon has embedded in it, in other words, the stuff is trapped within the very tissue of the colon, nanoparticles, nano dust, smart sensors, smart particulates, which are embedded. So when you take these products you're buying at the health food store, and all of a sudden you're going to the washroom or thinking that you're cleansing, what you're not getting is the debris from whatever was left inside the colon because of the nature of the assault on the genetic code. So it's something, you need a salt or a phosphorus in order to be able to flush these things out of the cell. Ergo, sodium thiosulfate. When you're looking at their rhetoric today, you have to understand what they're telling you will only keep you in a state of compromise, not freedom. Like if you all, I eat my vegetables and I eat this and I eat that and I'm staying away from meat. And I said, why are you staying away from meat? Why are you not using meat or using real meats not the synthetic crap or this meat look-alike. Meat look-alike. Jeez. And they got to start looking at, everyone's got, especially you people down, from the 50s and 60s and maybe even late 40s. You're still alive. What we were taught back then about health and what is going on today is a completely different topic. Back then, we did not have chemtrails. Back then, we did not have genetically engineered foods. Back then, we did not have Wi-Fi, 5G lights beaming everything in sight. Back then, we did not have a high bandwidth of electromagnetic frequencies floating through the air around us. Back then, we didn't have radiation all about us. Back then, the foods did not have some of the contamination that they have today. So you got to start thinking what you ate back then and what we're eating today is no longer the same thing. And you have to start thinking how to remove some of the buildup of the foods that you've been eating because of the nature of how they can create major problems for you. Sulfur is a big one. Salt is another one. Don't eat salt, it's going to cause you blah, blah, blah. Salt is a cleanser, a cellular cleanser. Okay, use the sea salt, not the Himalayan. The Himalayan salt has been popped for having lead contamination in their products. We are no longer in a position where we can afford to be stupid. We are no longer in a position where we just accept everything anybody tells us. Even with what I am telling you, and I've been saying, and I say this all the time, you need to investigate what I'm saying. You need to understand why I say what I say. When I see the cancer rates up, and I see all these autoimmune disorders up, and I see all these different health issues up, I have to ask myself, why is this the case? I remember back in the 1960s, 1970s when I was going to school that our life expectancy was already over 80. Back then. Now the life expectancy has actually declined because back in the year 2002, 2004, the stat I got was back then the average lifespan of a meat eater, one who ate cows, chickens, eggs, cheese, dairy products, was 92.1 years. Back in the year 2002, in 2002, 2004. Vegans lived only to about 80.1 years. Nothing's changed. Vegans aren't living any longer. All the bullshit that they tell, oh, they're vegan, they live 100 years, blah, 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 blah. Haven't seen it yet. Haven't seen it yet. So like I said, the luxury today of seeing what's going on, a lot of things are going to be changing. A lot of things are going to be removed. You have to understand the nature of what you're being assaulted with, okay, so that you're not, in a position where they've got you, they can control you. I'm going to read some stuff here just to show you how they have given toys. Another toy, the vaping that's come up. Well, vaping are producing what they call emissions. And now they're looking at the particle size of the vaping emissions. But somebody came along, brought this toy in, so that people had an alternative to tobacco because tobacco was evil. Oh, evil. And people were dying of cancer. Well, guess what? The vaping is causing more cancers than the tobacco. Can you imagine that? Ho, ho, ho. But this is how much they care about you. This is how much they are interested in your well-being. Another thing, millennials have worse health than Generation X. I had to go look up what Generation X was. Generation X was anyone born after the 1960s. Anyone born prior to 1960 is still part of the baby boomer. I'm still part of the baby boomer. Unfortunately, I'm the poor end of that one because they took away everything that was due me back in the past. The Generation X is a generation that comes out right after the 60s, and apparently they are millennials. Their health sucks. I wonder why. Maybe because they're eating soy and canola. Maybe because they're eating all the tofu and the I'm just trying to think what the hell those things are. I can't think of them. They're like an oatmeal mixture mixed with sugar. Used to be a snack to replace for snacking. Eating the oats. They are worse than Generation X. That's pretty pathetic. We're going to lose a lot of people today who are millennials. There's no question. They're programmed. They don't think. They don't know how to ask questions. They don't know how to do anything except, for the most part, pick up their phone and play with it. Now there are some millennials that have contacted me that were really concerned about their future and concerned about what's going on and the need to get things going. Which again is quite refreshing when I see most of these millennials today coming out are, completely phone addicted and phone controlled. Imagine that, a phone controlling you by accessing your DNA and then putting in programs inside your brain. Eventually, up the way, throughout the day or whenever, you decide to do something. You don't know why you're doing it, but it's being done because you just had this urge to do whatever. That's a program takeover. Imagine that. Millennials are having worse health issues. And we are seeing it all the time because I talk to people from all over. I had a woman contact me today from out west, and she was telling me that all the young people there are loaded with heavy acne across the forehead and cheeks. I said that's all nano poisoning, embedding into the inside. Whatever's coming out is coming out, but that's all nanotechnology, nanobiology, And again, it's because of what everybody's eating in that generation. There is no sequel. Once they wipe out whatever they're going to wipe out, that's pretty well going to be it. This is the hard reality we're living in today. This is the hard reality we're all living in today. We're living in a realm of reality that isn't really much, doesn't offer much hope or much desire to live. When you wake up to see how you've been enchanted with a illusion, that's a good way of putting it. You were enchanted with an illusion. You begin to realize that after you start waking up to that and you peel off layer upon layer of the illusion, you'll find that you've had this going on just about all your life. And I was explaining to her what pisses me off the most is the fact that we were misled, obviously, but been given what we were given, and it was all, and everything that we ever had, good, bad, or indifferent, was all based on a lie, based on a non-truism. That's pretty hard to swallow, that you've been fooled for so long. But that's what we're all at, those of us who are woke up. So like I said, now it's important that you recognize this. It can be depressing because it takes away any kind of drive or fun in order to live. But you do live, and you live differently, and you'll grow differently. You'll act differently because you begin to realize and recognize that what we've had has been nothing more than illusionary at best, and basically the illusion has been hollowing you out inside and out, causing major changes that can be life-changing in directions. So a lot of that, what's going on today, is the result of these type of programs that are being enacted on the general population, and you're being hit with all kinds of fronts, whether it be the phone, whether it be a tower, whether it be an iPad, whether it be a computer, whether it be your smart television, whether it be the Wi-Fi outside on the streets, even quite possibly the activities that we're dealing with on so many different realms, with car lights emitting LEDs, which are frequency transferring, and all the changes. Like I said, we're no longer living in those realms, and again, the deception is still being manipulated, and the ones who are still buying into the deceptions are those who are refused to either wake up or are trying to stay asleep, or who are asleep. There are some people who legitimately do not know what's going on. Some have heard it and sort of put it to the side, and some are just basically trying to run away from it. They just don't want nothing to do with it because of the implications and the fear that it can cause. That's the realm we're in. And that's, like I said, once you realize how you have been manipulated and things have been fabricated, you can then start, and you will start doing some real research, coming up with some of your own conclusions, and then start waking people up as well, which is basically the hope, really, because the more of us that are awake, the less we're going to have to contend with those who aren't awake. The way it goes. It's how it goes. That's the way it goes. Alrighty. I'm always talking regarding to supporting the guys and the gals that are doing alternatives to the alternatives. So you got Brian396 with his photo gallery. Go to photosgoogle.com. You've got Brian396 with his research on nano. Again, you can go to www.minds.com. Check that out. You got Aramak, who's also an activist that's activating in the truth. Again, check out his website. He's on the YouTube channel, so just type in, you get to the YouTube channel, just type in Aramak, and it'll take you to his stuff, and you can click on what he's doing. You've got me. I've got a BitChute, which is basically a do-it-yourself protection, and other things that I'll be constantly putting up. We got Alternative to the Alternative website. That's the YouTube channel. I got it twice. Oh, I did. Aha. No, sorry. Alternative to the Alternative website. That should be the Augment and Force site. Sorry about that. That's a site that has all kinds of data in regarding to nanotechnology, nanobiology, how these things work and assemble. And what amazes me on this, what does really amaze me on this is that information's been there for a while, and nobody's looking at that information. And then when somebody else comes along and makes a comment about that information, not that they read it from my site, everyone starts paying attention, and we find that somewhat humorous. I do anyway. But anyway, if you go to the site, you will see the information that you need on all kinds of things. If you're looking for the buying stuff, there's a catalog link there as well. Feel free to access the catalog and see what you might be interested in, whether it be a flash drive, books, herbal remedies, iodine, so forth and so on. You got, like I said, there's Aramak. somewhere here. There he is. He's activating. He's a YouTube activist. Go check him out. Check out what he's doing. And again, any of these people I mentioned, if you want to give them a hand, do so. Speaking the truth is a difficult job at best, and trying to live the truth is even harder. So again, help anybody any way you can. Choose who you want. I always refer to the biblical reference about Jesus talked about how this woman went into the temple and she gave 1 penny, and he said she gave more than all of them combined because that was all she had. Now, I'm not asking you to give me anything. If you can barely feed yourself, then I would rather you take your resources and buy food and take care of your families. But if all you got and all you want to give is a penny, you know what? I'm good with that. If you don't want to give anything, that's cool too. I'm good with that as well. But I'll tell you what you can do. If you really want to contribute, and you can't afford to contribute, which is okay, you are in tough times, then share the information with your network. Share all this information with your different networks. Thereby, everybody's enriched by the information, and again, it's there for everybody. And that's not just my site, that's Brian396's site, that's Aramac's site, anybody, that is actually doing something. Give them a hand, help them out any way you can, and if you can help them financially, great. If not, help them then by sharing the information that they're sharing. Alrighty, I think we're near the end. Let me see where we're at. We're near the end. Okay. Well, this one's going to be a little shorter than the last one, just a wee bit, but that's okay. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. So until the next segment, to your health, pay attention. Check out the links on the site. Check them out. They're going to be somewhat intriguing. I think you may find them, may help you express or explain to other people what they're reading, because most people today don't know how to interpret. So anyway, until the next segment, to your health, we'll see you then. Take care.